March Madness. It is crazy. It always has been. We are through the first weekend of the tournament, and we are into the Sweet 16, baby. I just realized that this tournament is really only 3 weekends long, but it's a packed action, man. It feels like it's forever. I don't know about you, but I didn't do any work Thursday or Friday even, especially not Saturday or Sunday. I was glued to the TV. I was watching as many games as I possibly could because we had a lot of good ones. We had a lot of good ones. I think I caught a minute of every single game, at least a minute, except maybe like I don't know, I didn't watch the Tennessee St. Peter's game, which was a 83-49 blowout. I didn't watch much of the Arizona Long Beach State. That was a 20-point win. I've flipped through UConn just to check the score both times, but those were dominant performances by the number one overall seed. So I wasn't too worried about that. But we've got some games we do got to talk about, and to just take a look at the Sweet 16. Who we got, what are some surprises, and what do we think is going to happen? So let's start out with the beginning. All right, we had the first four. It was a great weekend, or a great start to the tournament. We had some good games, had some great defensive battles, notably from Colorado State and Virginia. That was just ugly. Indiana State should have been in. All right, there's my piece about Indiana State. We won't spend too much time on there because I'm pretty passionate they should have been in. But that's okay. That's all right. Our number one seeds have advanced. They've looked really good. Honestly, the only one seed that hasn't looked great was Houston last night in their battle with Texas A&M. Texas A&M, I underrated though. I had them losing in the first round, and man, they look to be a really quality team. I mean, I just hadn't watched. I didn't watch SEC basketball this year. Okay, I didn't know what I was talking about, but Texas A&M had a really well put together team. I mean, Councilman, sheesh, what a game he had. Both tournament games for them, as they whooped their 9 seed. Remind me, who was it? They whooped. That's right, Nebraska. I had Nebraska. It was quick work for them there. They had a great game with Houston. Kind of just fell up short. Got a little tired at the end. I don't know. Houston just asserted their defensive dominance in overtime, and so that was good to see Houston get back on track. But we'll see what they do next in their game against Duke. Duke, I'm really surprised to handle James Madison so easily. James Madison looked really good against Wisconsin. Maybe Wisconsin just looked really bad. It was a combination of both. Chucky Hepburn for Wisconsin wasn't making his shots. Wall wasn't making his shots. And it really wasn't a good performance by Wisconsin, but I thought it was more of a credit to James Madison. But Duke came out and they, no worries. No shot. They did just fine, handled the James Madison Dukes. North Carolina, let's go there. I'm going to be bouncing around a lot. No really rhythm or rhyme to this video here. UConn, or not UConn, UNC, they did their thing. They handled business against Wagner, and they handled business against my Michigan State Spartans. It was tough to watch, man. Michigan State, we got out to an early 12-point lead, and North Carolina slammed on the gas and never looked back, beating us by a total of 16 points at the end. But they were up by, 8 at half, and quickly expanded that lead. Michigan State couldn't do much of anything, even though we started off really well. So it got my hopes all the way up and then brought them all the way down. It wasn't very good. But it was good to see UNC play someone competitive, go through a little bit of adversity in that, the first portion of the first half, which we could call the first quarter if you want. So UNC has got a lot of respect from me because they whooped my Spartans. Even though I didn't think my Spartans were very good, I picked North Carolina to win this game. I picked North Carolina to win it all, and I feel more confident after that. Whereas some of these other 1 seeds didn't play very good competition. Purdue, Utah State looked at the very beginning like they might challenge them a little bit, but no. UConn, they haven't played anybody. Stetson looks smaller than my 4A high school, or 5A now. Northwestern wasn't much of a challenge for them either, and I don't think Northwestern was that good. They did have a good showing out against Florida Atlantic. Actually, no, Florida Atlantic just looked really bad. It was, if you watch that first half, I think the halftime score of Northwestern versus Florida Atlantic was 20-18. Okay, it was not pretty basketball. So I don't think UConn's played anybody good, but they've looked very dominant. So it's very confident to be in It's very easy to be confident in UConn because of how dominant they've been. We'll see what they do against San Diego State, a rematch of last year's championship game, so that'll be exciting. San Diego State handled business against UAB, even though it came down to the wire, and then also handled Yale. Yale, who upset Auburn. Bruce Pearl just cannot get his look. I think Bruce Pearl is a very good coach at Auburn. He just hasn't made it to the promised land, which really hurts for them. The first round knockout by an Ivy League school, it hurts, man. It hurts. But Yale looked really good. I picked that one. I also picked Oakland, if you remember. Oakland beating Kentucky. What a game, bro. What a game. I'm telling you, we're all over the place on this video. But Oakland had some great battles with Kentucky, and then again in the next round with NC State. I really thought NC State was going to, crumble there at the end, and Oakland was going to come out and head to the Sweet 16. I was getting excited. I was ready to purchase my Oakland t-shirt, but no, it didn't happen. Trey Townsend had a great game. Jack Golke had 6 threes, but he missed a lot of them, so I don't think he really had a great game. Rocket Watts obviously was not healthy, man. If Rocket Watts was a little bit more healthy for Oakland, I think they would have easily won this game. But DJ Burns gave them some trouble, as he does for a lot of teams. So North Carolina State, after beating Texas Tech and now beating Oakland, are in the Sweet 16. And I'm excited to see what they can do. And they're going to have a fun matchup against Marquette. Marquette is a team that I think is super underrated, even though they're a 2 seed. They were the most picked against 215 battle. All right, they were the picked against the most. They were expected to not make it to the Sweet 16, even as 2 seed, which is crazy to me. Crazy. And I think Marquette's going to go handle business against NC State. Shaka Smart, I think, is one of the best coaches in the entire country. I'm really liking this Tyler Kolek. This team is just looking good. I'm excited to see them. I think they're going to prove a lot of people wrong. I have them in my national championship game, and I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about that, especially after watching Houston last night. It didn't look real good. Again, I think Shaka Smart is a great coach, and I think they got a great team there in Marquette, so I think that's going to be a big game for them against Houston. But we got to watch them get past NC State first, right? And I think I love the legend of DJ Burns, but DJ Horn needs to shoot a little bit better than he did against Oakland if they want a chance to beat Marquette. But I just don't think it's going to happen. Who else should we talk about? Of course, we got to talk about the Zags. Gonzaga, who had a rough regular season. McNeese State was one of the highest picked 12s, and they handled business. It was a 20-point game. Wasn't really ever close. Gonzaga handled it. Then they go up against the 4-seeded Kansas Jayhawks, who probably shouldn't have made it to the round of 32 because that Samford block was clean, bro. That was so clean. They got robbed. And who knows? It was Kansas was still up 1 at that point. If it was a 1-point game, obviously that game is completely different at that point. But you never know who's going to win. Kansas moved on. It was a little upsetting. But then they went up and had a great first half against the Zags, and then Gonzaga just throttled it in the second half, man. They blew them out, bro. Blew them out. Bill Self, after the game, just being like, hey, I wasn't even worried about this game. I'm thinking about next year. All these injuries pissed me off. We didn't care. We weren't trying. Bull crap, Bill Self. Bro, come on now. Coach, you got to back up your team a little bit. Now we got to see what's going to happen with Kansas. Is McCullough coming back? Is Hunter Dickinson coming back? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not here about all that. But that was just kind of a petty party there, the post-game interview, and I wasn't here for it. Gonzaga just whooped the crap out of them. Now they have to go up against the 7'4" Zach Edey. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Zach Edey. You know that. I think he's just really tall, and I stand by that, even after what they've been saying themselves. He does not have that great of moves. His defense isn't amazing. He just sits in the paint. I don't think he's going to get away with that in the NBA. But that's not today's conversation. Today's conversation is, can Purdue beat Gonzaga? And absolutely they can. But the bigs for Gonzaga, Big Greg especially, man, he's been playing really well, shooting the ball decently. And so I'm excited. I think Gonzaga could definitely take down Purdue because they're hot right now. But I'm not going to count out Purdue because they've been really dominant so far as well. Give me Gonzaga. Give me Gonzaga. Give me Gonzaga. They've just been super hot. They're more of a well-rounded team. I think that if anybody can shut down the guard play from Purdue, which isn't that hard, Mark Few is going to be the guy to do it. I really like Nembhard on the defensive side as well. I think he's a much improved defender, so I think that's going to be a big thing for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and I think they can do it. Or the Gonzaga Zags. Cool. I don't know. North Carolina, though, I forgot to mention, are going up against the Alabama Crimson Tide, who have looked pretty good. I mean, they whooped Grand Canyon in, well, they got close at the end, but Grand Canyon looked really, really good against St. Mary's, and Alabama made them look not so good. They handled Charleston, wasn't much of an issue. Bama, not much to talk about in their two games because they played a 13 seed and a 12 seed, so yeah, not a ton to talk about, but I think the Tide might give the Tar Heels a little bit of trouble, but not much. I still expect Martin Baycott and R.J. Davis to go off. Harrison Ingram was the man against Michigan State, and so watch out for him the rest of this tournament. Let's go up to the East region. We talked about UConn and San Diego State. They have their rematch, but on the other side, they have Illinois and Iowa State. Iowa State got off to a rough start against Washington State. They came back, relied heavily on their defense, got a lot of turnovers, a lot of transition buckets, which got them back into the game. Their three-point shooting started coming on late. So they ended up winning the game by 11, even though they were losing most of that first half. And actually, they were losing the whole first half, I believe. And the second half is when they started taking over. Illinois, again, they not much to talk about for them because they played a 14 seed and an 11 seed when Duquesne beat BYU. BYU is just an ultimate letdown. Couldn't shoot the ball. Got bodied in the paint. Was not much to look for. So I thought Duquesne was going to put up a little bit more of a fight against Illinois, especially where Illinois struggled against Morehead State to start. And they figured it out in the second half and ended up winning that game quite handily. But Duquesne, they rocked. Like, it was not close. I think they got out to an 18-3 run to start the game and never looked back, finishing with a 26-point victory. Illinois looks dangerous, man. Domask is playing out of his mind, had a triple-double in the first round. Had another 20 points in the second round. Domask is that guy, and he's not even the main guy. Terrence Shannon Jr. is still on a mission. Ever since his suspension, he's been shooting the ball really well. He's been playing good defense, which is a good part of his team. If Coleman Hawkins is a great stretch five for him, and he's going to be hitting his shots. I don't know if Iowa State, even with as good of a defense as they have, can really handle this team. This Illinois team has not been turning over the ball much recently. They've been shooting really well, and I expect that Illinois to give the Cyclones a lot of troubles in the Sweet 16. And I expect a UConn-Illinois matchup in the Elite Eight. So that'll be fun to watch as well. But that's Clemson and Arizona, let's not forget about them. Arizona has had their way. Long Beach State wasn't much of a competition. Dayton tried to make it interesting there at the end, but Arizona pulled away and did their thing. Caleb Love is just shooting the ball lights out right now. He's playing really well, which, if you know Caleb Love, he can be very inconsistent at times, but right now he's on. So Clemson might be in trouble, but they had really good games against New Mexico where they just handled them easily. It wasn't much of a ball game. And then Baylor, they handled them pretty well as well. Baylor came back, made a little run at the end as well, but Clemson did what they had to do. Got in a lot of foul trouble early, which hurt them late. And so if Clemson can stay out of foul trouble early against Arizona, even though Caleb Love and company is one of the best at drawing fouls, could be a long night for the Clemson Tigers, but I think they could make this a very competitive battle. And I don't know. I'm excited to see it. Creighton, on the other hand, man, they had an overtime game with the Oregon Ducks. Tennessee had a close game with Texas, and I'm excited for this 2-3 matchup. Tennessee, and Creighton Blue Jays. It's going to be a fun one. All right, Creighton's got a little bit more size advantage, but Dalton Connect is doing his thing. All right, he wasn't even the star of the show last game, but Tennessee has done what it's needed to do to get by. I don't even know who to pick for this Creighton-Tennessee game. I think I am going to go with Tennessee. A little bit more battle-tested. And I think they have the strength, the handle with a Kalkbrenner size and handle Shireman. I think Dalton Connect just has to have a really good game for me to be confident in this, but I think he's going to do absolutely that. So the Sweet 16 is going to be way fun. I'm excited for the Elite Eight. It's going to just be another great weekend, as it always is in March Madness. I haven't seen any buzzer beaters yet. I want to see a buzzer beater. I mean, we had the Colorado for Florida game, which was a really, really good game. I did pick Colorado in that one, so go me. That was just a fun game. We got to talk about some of these prospects, too, at some point. Cody Williams is out early. Rob Dillingham is out early. Reed Shepard's out early. Okay, I don't know, man. There's a lot of guys that we want to see in the NBA draft. And that's really why I watch. Well, March Madness is just so electric. But it's another side story to look at, is what prospects are really going to translate from the college game to the NBA game. Who do we need to keep our eyes on? Cody Williams, I think, did just that. Reed Shepard had himself a horrible game. But we'll see about some of these other guys, especially some of the seniors. I really like keeping my eye on the seniors, like a Dalton Connect, or an upperclassman at least. But that is all for today. I just wanted to do a quick March Madness update, man. What was your favorite game? How well is your team doing? And how well is your bracket, man? Let me know, because my bracket might not be the best, but I got some of the upsets right. So that's all I care about. But you let me know, and keep enjoying the month of March, man.